It is time for the last installment in the Police Quest series SWAT4 to undergo a review in retrospective.
It is a shame that Shara ended the series with a banger like this one, because SWAT4 is a huge upgrade in comparison to SWAT3. I do love SWAT3 in its own quirky way, but SWAT4 stepped it up. SWAT4 doesn't do a whole lot different than SWAT3. It's in general views still the same game. As a SWAT team, every mission you encounter is an arrest warrant mission, meaning you get called out to pick a door lock or blast the f out of one to see what's behind it. That's basically it. This should have been called SWAT4 Arrest Warrant, or Arrest Warrant the Game. You man a 5-unit SWAT team instead of a 4-unit one, more in line with the standards set back then and now, and navigate a premise. Houses, churches, nightclubs, that sort of stuff. It is exactly the same content as SWAT3, and that could be something you like. Your operators/SWAT officers are better equipped with all sorts of lethal as well as non-lethal equipment in an updated, more futuristic roster. Every mission gives you a set of objectives like hostages that need to be rescued and who you should detain. There's also your first entry point, most of the time the main side or basement entrance, and some stuff that's not interesting like the timeline of what happened leading to the event. I just skip all of this because every mission is practically the same. You stack up at a door, check the door and go through it. It doesn't differ much from SWAT3. What differs from SWAT3 though, well, as you can see, the graphics are a lot better. A lot. I mean, the graphics date from 2005, but look at SWAT3. Now look at SWAT4. The rules of engagement are the same. Get the hostages out safe, and detain the bad guys in the most non-violent way. You earn points and rank up a final score, which needs to be above 50 points at the end of every mission. Every hostage you save, every bad guy you cuff, and every report towards TOC, Tactical Operation Command, gets you judgment points. Comparing this game in limelight with SWAT3 is a world of difference when it comes to tactical gameplay. Your officers are, thank God, a lot smarter. They stack up at a door in a correct way. One of them even covers the rear, while the rest covers the sides and front. I actually feel safe around these guys, whereas in SWAT3 I am constantly annoyed, as well as nervous because I am the smartest member of the team, constantly adjusting shit and avoiding bullets, hoping that I don't die. And there's actually a real sniper option this time. In SWAT3, the game gives you some false narrative that a sniper can have some involvement in your missions, but that's a lie. Here, the sniper can be activated by pressing the home button. Also an added bonus, the sniper can shoot suspects with no point deduction, even if they pose no immediate threat. You could just shoot one for just standing in front of a window. I have seriously no idea why this is. Maybe it's because the sniper isn't counted as a member of the squad. Another thing that's a gift from the heavens is the pull-out tab command menu. In SWAT3 you had to fast press commands like an idiot to get your team to move. Select the command from the pull-out menu while pointing in the right direction, and your team follows it up. You can also press the spacebar as a shortcut. However, the fact remains that you should never lead the pack, as getting shot slows you down for the rest of the mission. Even worse, you getting killed is a game over, while your team members can be taken down each without a consequence. This is the same as in SWAT3, and in reality doesn't make sense. How would any SWAT officer take on a team of hostiles alone? This would just be a stand down from a mission. But it is possible to complete a mission on your own. I never managed this myself, because going in alone is a super risk. Enemies are pretty good at shooting straight at you, and every hit does take some sufficient damage. This isn't like Call of Duty or Battlefield, where you can take multiple hits and still manage to run full speed across the map. Still, my approach is the same every time. It's pretty boring, but stacking up at a door and using a mirror wand is the best approach to let most of your teammates pull through a mission. I do need to mention that letting your team seeing what's on the other end of a door isn't always reliable. There have been instances where my team members said there were no people at all on the other side, when in fact there were armed gunmen to be found, resulting in wounded or incapacitated team members. I do think that this is something to do with the optical wand not being able to see around every corner, but just a global view I guess. And if you think that this game lets you shoot at enemies, guess again. The most fun at shooting that occurs is in the training range, where you can test weapons on targets. You can also throw infinite stun grenades and flashbangs at a fellow officer. The training section is pretty critical to follow, because the options in the field can be intense. You see, every room in the field does require a different tactic. If you have a mixed crowd of people, like hostages and gunmen, Do you throw a flashbang, stun grenade or CS gas? And do the gunmen have masks on or body armor? Some of these options may not work. It's these decisions you have to make that can set apart a successful mission or a failed mission. And every time a map loads up, it is randomized. So you're in for a treat every time.
So okay, the game is clearly an evolution and a step up from SWAT 3, but there are a few things that annoyed the fuck out of me.
Now it won't come as a surprise, but my god, the game can get boring at times. It is practically the same as SWAT Liberty on the PSP, kicking in doors and get the bad guys. The original vanilla SWAT 4 is just that, and well, you've seen it by now. The scenery is super bland, everything is dark, gloomy and filthy. Environments are dumps, and all look like a shithole. And there are times where your teammates still just die like flies because they didn't make the right decision or stood in the wrong place at a door. This made me just redo a mission multiple times because losing half of your squad in the first few minutes is worthless. The times that you do get to pull the trigger are pretty much laughable. At least I laughed a lot. Most of the bullets go past enemies and don't hit shit. Your weapon needs to refocus after every shot bullet. And that is in my opinion not even worth using an automatic weapon for. I equip a shotgun, at least something that packs power, for close encounters. I then use the sidearm like the Colt to take down a suspect with violence, if necessary. My final annoyance is the fact that enemies get more aggressive as you advance. Now I complained in SWAT 3 that every enemy you encounter is aggressive, but in SWAT 4 it's the same rule every time. If you have a lot of enemies in one compound, they are aggressive. If it's a single suspect that needs to be arrested, they lean towards being compliant. Next to the scenery just being dull with nightclubs, houses and churches, there's also the fact that arrest warrants are not the main job description for a SWAT officer. So here we go again. In SWAT 2, my favorite of the Police Quest series, there's a variety of missions that border to realism. Not only are they just arrest warrants, but also riots to resolve, safeguarding and clearing events because of upcoming threats and resolving domestic situations. There's even a classic bank robbery gone wrong. None of this is seen in SWAT 3 and SWAT 4. I get that this game revolves around just knocking on doors, but some variety would have hit the sweet spot. SWAT officers do a lot more than just move around in shitty lit environments and cuff people. Thankfully, a year later in 2006, Sierra released SWAT 4 the Stetchkov Syndicate. And let me give you a tip, forget vanilla SWAT 4 and go straight to this expansion pack. The Stetchkov Syndicate makes up for a lot of the mess the vanilla version makes. The expansion looks and runs the same, but the gameplay mechanics have been supplemented with more non-lethal and lethal weapons, giving you more of a choice of attacking and subduing suspects. There's also an option to drop a light stick, to remember which room you've been in, cause the maps can get pretty huge and after a while, each room and corridor starts to look the same. And if you don't restrain a suspect fast enough, they will pick up their weapon again and start fleeing after they surrender. Most of my suspects end up dead, thanks to my teammates carrying heavy weapons. Well yes, just like in SWAT 3, I recommend giving your team the most awesome and strongest weapons to just shoot the flying fuck out of these assholes. The game doesn't hand out penalties for killing suspects, as long as hostages are kept alive, enemies attacked first, and most of your teammates stand up straight at the end. Again leaving only corpses at the scene for detectives. Dead people do not talk, so good luck with that. So most missions play out the same way one or another. But there are some missions that do stand out from the rest. There's the second mission, which makes you detain a serial killer, whose house is all f***ed up, with masks hanging from the ceiling in his self-made, not up to code standards, basement. There's another mission, in which you immediately encounter a set of time bombs, scattered all over a broken complex. You then have 14 minutes to defuse all of them. It's missions like these that are exciting and separate the enjoyable missions from the bland ones.
Now is SWAT 4 something you should rave about in 2021 though?
SWAT 4 is a major step up from SWAT 3, not only in graphics, but also in team artificial intelligence, enemy behavior, equipment selection, and better thought out gameplay mechanics. The end result point system is clear and easy, and clearing a room successfully is still satisfying. Then again, the game doesn't do anything game-changing. It's still the same formula, and clearing rooms gets repetitive. Some of you might find this interesting, spanning it for hour after hour, but I like some variety in my game. There's a segment where you get dropped off by a helicopter, which gives you some sense of other character involvement. but it's just for show, as you don't actually see yourself repelling from it. It's things like these that are missed opportunities and could have elevated the story mode to higher proportions. I would have enjoyed seeing the same scenarios like in SWAT 2. Not every interference that involves SWAT is an arrest warrant. Believe me, as a former police officer on this. Wouldn't it be great if a next installment in the series portrayed current, real-life situations? Rapid deployment at a bank robbery while driving to it. How about preventing a child kidnapping while in heavy traffic and chasing the suspect down? Being shot at while arriving at the scene of a shooting in progress. These are just ideas, but make up for a varied game. Also, some daylight environments would be nice. I am pretty sick of these evening and nighttime missions. I had a great time with SWAT4. That is the Setchkov Syndicate expansion. The Gold Edition is available on GOG and has the vanilla game as well as expansion in one package. However, don't take out your wallet yet. See, the game doesn't run on Windows 10. I have tried everything to make this game work on a 64-bit machine. Maybe some of you have been lucky in getting it to run, but message boards with confused players add to my comment. I had to capture this footage by installing the game on a Windows XP PC, then capture the footage with an external capture device back to my Windows 10 PC. If you are up for running it on a Windows XP desktop, then the game is absolutely worth a try. Just don't get hung up like this guy. This was episode 15 of In Retrospective, a series where I pass judgment over older games, to see if they hold up to this day. If you made it to the end of this video, that's awesome. So you might like the other videos I made about the other SWAT installments, or even some other retro games. Go check them out in the playlist. A like and subscribe would be great, as it helps this channel grow. It also lets you know when a new episode of In Retrospective is available. And I'll see you on a new episode of In Retrospective.